Dear friends, in the second part of my conversation with Mr. Vijay Shrinivas, CEO and all-time director of Indag Rubber Ltd, we touch upon more of the challenges faced by CXOs. Any experiences, Vijay, that you would like to share with our viewers on collectively dealing with cross-country cultures, which is so important in increasingly becoming important.
I'm glad you asked me this question, Ramesh. Let me give you a quick anecdote. I remember a meeting where a Japanese OEM was there, and the global product manager was from Europe, and I was there from India. We had a good meeting. We concluded the meeting, and to our utter shock and horror, we realized that all the three of us are having different takeaways from the same meeting that we attended actually. Then it kind of intrigued me, and I said, let me just go back and see what's going on here. And that's when I realized the importance of culture, right? The Japanese, when the Japanese gentleman says it's difficult, actually what he means is it's not doable, it's impossible. That's a very polite way of saying that, right? So if different people interpret cultures very differently, and they come from different cultures, this is where I found a very handy tool. I go back to Dr. Hofstede, late in 1970s, wrote something which is kind of monumental to understand the different societies and the cultural aspects in business and day-to-day lives. So it's called Hofstede's cultural dimension actually. And there are 6 dimensions. And once you understand the 6 dimensions, hopefully we'll be able to deal with cross-cultural situations and appreciate the nuances much better. So when somebody manages a global team, how these individual dimensions play out and how they interact with each other and how it interacts between the society, and in the meetings and getting the job done. It's a very, very interesting play.
Wonderful. Makes one really think. And I'm sure that learning about these as well as going through the experience will certainly help one to, for example, in negotiating situations or in striking partnerships. And negotiating situations are not about win-lose. It's not about winning at any cost. We all know that. And similarly, striking partnerships. So negotiating should lead to partnership of some kind or the other. And lastly, Vijay, my last question to you. You're also on the board, so you're the right person for me to ask this question. When a board looks at selecting a CXO, or when a CEO looks at selecting a CXO, either from externally or among the existing team, what are the factors used to differentiate between people and come to the right choice?
Well, actually, I think every CXO level, hiring happens for a certain specific situation, right? I think it's extremely important to understand the situation. So let me give you an example. If you have a startup and you want to get to the IPO stage, and then if you are to look out for a CFO, then you're looking for a certain skill sets, right? So if you are a pretty mature company and you are a zero debt company, right, and you are generating surplus cash, then the same CFO role will be looked at from a pretty different dimension, right? So I think one very important thing is to understand what is the hiring situation. So that determines a lot what kind of candidate that you're looking for. And if you really look at businesses, not all businesses are managed equally. In a portfolio management for any entrepreneur or for investor or company, some businesses are managed for cash, some businesses are managed for growth. So a CXO to run a business which is managed for cash, you need a different kind of a skill set. And for some businesses which is managed for growth, that you are willing to pump in a lot of money, that business as a growth business for the next decade, then one looks at a different kind of skill set there. So apart from the regular things that you look at, right, domain experience, domain knowledge, the right background, right educational background, right references, I believe that the situation demands the kind of leader that there are peacetime generals and there are wartime generals. You need a different general to manage both situations, because the style that one has to adopt has to be very different. So mostly a CXO or a senior CXO, you would find the seasoned veterans seamlessly transition between one mode to the another mode. They generally will have the capability to shift gears. Sometimes one has to look at the map in great detail, and sometimes one has to throw away the map and look at the compass and say, okay, are we headed in the right direction? They're all very situational things. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah. Very well. Actually, qualities like handling the ambiguity and all that came out in your response. Some people may possess that, some people may not have. So, what's the situation of the company? What's the hiring situation? How much of what's the objective that we are getting somebody into that particular role, and we filter everybody basis those, even though somebody else may be suitable in other ways. This particular situation may not be right for that person to take over, and it is good for somebody else to take.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm glad you touched about the ambiguity part of it, right? A CXO is somehow expected to know everything, but in reality, one has to navigate a lot of uncertainty and ambiguity. I would say, from my experience, about 50-60% of the times when you make a decision, you know that's the right decision, that's the right thing to do. There is about 1/3 to 40% of the decisions one honestly will have to navigate with a lot of uncertainty.
So, thank you so much, Vijay, for making the time, and your insights were so enriching. I'm sure my viewers will also agree on that. So this concludes, friends, my dialogue with Mr. Vijay Shrinivas, CEO and whole-time director with Indag Rubber. So we will see you the next time with another top leader with fantastic insights. Thank you all.